about him. He's super tough. I mean, you can see how tough a guy he is. He's tried to play through injuries where he shouldn't have even been on the field. All those things are true, and yet he has, at times, I believe the real issue is failed to look in the mirror and really be accountable. And I think he's gotten so much praise from the media and has felt so protected in his situation that he had that, like they'd win, he'd play poorly. He was, oh my God, what a heroic performance. And so maybe he wasn't really taking accountability in the way he should have. I think he needs to go to a place where there's such gravitas on the coaching staff, right? Where the reputation of the place is enough for him to humble himself in that way. Because Carson Wentz, not all that long ago, a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, was an excellent quarterback. But as you know, I don't think he's been an excellent quarterback for quite some time. And I don't think that his benching this year came out of the blue. It's not like suddenly he was so great last year, and then what happened this year? I was saying all through the second half of last year, he's in fact not playing well. He's in fact costing his team. And so I think if he were to go to Belichick, he would at least be part of an organization where if the coaching staff needed him to do something, he would go out there and do it. And I think that's the most important thing for Wentz right now. In spite of the lack of offensive weapons, I think it would be the Patriots, actually.
Yeah, listen, when you think about Carson Wentz, I would say this about the disagreement we start right here is, so Carson Wentz has had a difficult last probably couple years. But at the end of last year, you really saw him help lead his team into the playoffs, right? Like when everybody was injured, he kind of stepped up, and people talked about him carrying the team on his back and getting them into the playoffs and finding a way, Max, what you kind of calling heroics. But when you talk about a team that would be the best fit, the Patriots and the Patriot way and what they have that's not going to benefit him. He needs a team like the Indianapolis Colts. And I'll tell you why. The nucleus of the team is built inside out, which Chris Ballard has done a fantastic job. He has good, but not great, outside help and young players who could potentially help him. The most important part is he has a fantastic offensive line that's young, minus Costanzo, who just retired, so they'll have to replace a left tackle. But we know Ballard's not afraid to put money or resources in the offensive line. And he has a young running back in Taylor who is ascending and really showed what he can be now with guys who, Mac being injured, coming back. Potentially, you have a few different options that will help you and help your game. I think he's athletic, which lends itself to moving the pocket, which we know Frank Reich is not afraid to do. Move the pocket, trap pass, 2 tight end sets, 3 tight end sets, right? Cram things in. If you need to spread it out, he can do all the. So the plethora of options are there. I think the seamless transition becomes because when he is protected, he is a different quarterback. And I would liken this, and obviously people are going to hear this, and you look at what happened to Patrick Mahomes when he was pressured the way he was pressured in the Super Bowl. I played with a Hall of Fame quarterback in Peyton Manning. I played with Aaron Rodgers. I've watched Tom Brady his entire career. When players are pressured and quarterbacks are on the run for their life, they are not the same guy. So unless you can tell me that New England's offensive line is going to improve in just pure pass blocking ability, I would tell him, if I'm his agent, go find that group of guys who are going to afford you the most protection, give you a good, if not great, run game, and then just be part of an offense. Don't go somewhere where you got to be the dude. Like, we don't want that, because we really don't know if you have
I hear that, but Jeff,
let's make sure you can build in there.
Jeff, I appreciate the point about the Colts, because the Colts got the best guard, and they spent a very high draft pick on him, the best interior lineman, I think, in the game, and a guy who's just a difference maker, no question. They built that team right, and now they need to find their quarterback. I'm saying I don't think Carson Wentz is ready to be that quarterback. You bring up Mahomes and how he was pressured. Yeah, Mahomes, I thought, was spectacular. I thought he was spectacular in the Super Bowl. He was on the run for his life, pressured more than anyone ever, but with a lower blitz rate than anyone ever, right, on dropbacks. So he's always running for his life. No one's ever open. He threw 3 touchdown passes in the end zone. Hit 2 guys in the face and 1 in the hands. Like, he was unbelievable. That's not what Carson Wentz did a couple of years ago. What Carson Wentz did even last year, Jeff, at the end of that season when everyone was lauding him for bringing his team to victory. In fact, he got healthy against an extremely weak NFC East. And even then, he was turning the ball over on third down in the fourth quarter. They were lucky to recover. He was beating these backup quarterbacks in the NFC East. But, Jeff, everyone in the NFC East was beating those same quarterbacks right around that time. Worse than Wentz was beating them. I really did not think he played well. I was sounding the alarm on first take all the second half of last year. I see this as a continuation. Jeff, the reason I bring all that up is because what I'm saying about Carson Wentz is, of course you're right if he's protected. He's better throwing on the run, although he doesn't move the way he used to, but maybe he could. But my point about Wentz is more than anything, it's upstairs. It's a humility issue. It's an adjustment issue. It's an issue of really taking accountability for his play and for leadership, not just in word, but in deed. And so when I look for the right fit, to me, it's not about the X's and O's and about the pieces on the field. It's about the coaching staff and a place where Wentz could really get that part fixed or that part worked on. That's why I said the Patriots. Any other team that you would bring up, I'd want to know about the coaching staff and Wentz's attitude toward that.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you on the coaching staff portion, but I think it's the opposite. I don't think you need a leader at quarterback if you go to the Patriots, right? McDaniels has a very strong personality. So does Bill. You know, both those guys, they have a certain way they want to go do it. They'll allow you to be you to a certain degree, but ultimately they're going to be the guys who carry the water in that locker room. And so from Wentz's perspective, there's not going to be any leadership required. So from just the actual learning the leadership part, from the X's and O's, I think Frank Reich is probably the one, if he's not the best, he's one of the top 3 play callers, and they have the ability to complete it. Like, why did Tom want to leave New England? Partly because of what was on the outside. Like, you're asking him to go back in, and it's not just going to be the mental part. I understand what you're saying about the mental part, but there also have to be guys around that can make you better than you are. And that's every position in the league, Max. Like, the guys you play with matter. So you're going to go to a group where now you have to be that guy no matter who's on the outside. I think that's a tall order to get. And it's not like the Patriots have produced tons of receivers over the past 20 years. Tom Brady has created those guys, but man, now you're asking him to create those receivers. I think that's a tall order to ask right there.